Welcome to the video where I do a couple more practice dimensional analysis problems, just for your reference. So I'm working from the handout, dimensional analysis practice, and I'm going to do, first of all, this one right here, number 5, 1,898 milligrams to kilograms. What am I given? 1,898 milligrams. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for kilograms. So because one of these units is smaller than the gram and one of these units is larger than the gram, and on our table, we do not have any direct conversion factor that would go from milligrams to kilograms, I, just to be safe, always go through the gram or through the base unit. So let me show you how I do that. So if I have that many milligrams, I'm going to put milligrams on the bottom to cancel and then grams on the top. And then my second conversion factor, so that I can get to kilograms, is going to have grams on the bottom and kilograms on the top. Now I know this conversion and I know this conversion, so those are going to be easy to just look up on the table, and or for the exam you'd have these memorized. And so let's go ahead and do this. For every 1 milligram, there's 10 to the minus 3 grams, and for every 1 kilogram, there's 10 to the third grams. And so if I do this math out, 1.898 times 1 times 10 to the negative third divided by 1 times 10 to the third, I end up getting the answer of 0.001898 kilograms. And so if I look at significant figures, we have 4 given, so we can report 4 in our answer, because none of these conversion factors determine sig figs. And I can just report it just like that, or I can put it into scientific notation, which would be 1.898 times 10 to the negative third kilograms. Either one of those answers would work. That's the final answer. Now, next, I would like to do number 14. I'd like to show you how to convert 50 years into seconds. We are given 50 years. We want seconds. The first thing I'm going to do is take this 50 years and put it into days. We have years on the bottom, so it cancels, and then we'll put days on the top. And for every 1 year, there's 365.24 days. 0.24 is for leap year. Remember, we want to get to seconds. Next, I'm going to convert days into hours, put days on the bottom and hours on the top. For every 1 day, we know that there's 24 hours. And then once we have hours, we can go to minutes. And we know that for every 1 hour, there is 60 minutes. We can go from minutes to seconds, and we know that for every 1 minute is 60 seconds. We can see that years cancel, days cancels, hours cancel, minutes cancel, and I'm left with seconds, which is what I want. And so if I do this math out, while making this video, when I punched this into my calculator, I had an error. The right answer is 1.58 times 10 to the 9th seconds. In terms of sig figs here, everything's an exact number, so I'm just reporting it in 3 sig figs. 4 or 5 would be acceptable as well. So in this problem, I am given 1 cubic foot, and I want to convert that into cubic meters. First of all, in this problem, we have to get it from English units into metric units. And on our sheet, we do not have the direct conversion of feet to meters. First, we're going to have to go from feet to inches, because we do have that conversion. And for every 1 foot, we have 12 inches. Now, these units are not raised to any power. And so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to raise all of the things in that bracket to the third power, all of my units and all of my numbers. We are at cubic inches. Next, we want to go from inches to meters. But we don't have a conversion from inches to meters. We only have a conversion from inches to centimeters. If we figure out the conversion factor for inches on the bottom, centimeter on the top, and we look at that, and it's 2.54 centimeters for every 1 inch. Again, those are the straight units, and so we're going to need to raise all of those things to the third power as well. And finally, to get from centimeters to meters, that's going to be something that's in our brain. That's one of the metric to metric conversions that we have memorized. And so for every 1 centimeter, we have 1 times 10 to the negative second meters. And again, in order to get that cube, we're going to have to do that to the entire bracket. We're going to have to cube all of our numbers. Now, of course, the ones on the bottom don't matter, right? We don't have to cube 1. That's all good. But we also are going to have to make sure that we cube all of our units when we're reporting this. And so if we do the math out in our calculator, it is going to be 1 times 12 to the third times 2.54 to the third times 1.0 times 10 to the negative second to the third. And so practice that math out. So on my calculator, when I do that math out, I get 0.02831. Okay, so I don't have to write the whole number, but that's enough sig figs. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how many significant figures I'm going to want to report. In my question, I have 1 sig fig here. Okay, here we go. So we're going to have to report this number in 1 sig fig. So we can say that it's 0.03 meters cubed, or we can say that it's 3 times 10 to the negative 2 cubic meters. So either one of those answers would work, and that's my final answer. So the next one I'd like to try is number 31. Novir is an antiretroviral drug that is used to fight HIV. We don't care about any of that, so that doesn't matter right there. Adults are typically prescribed, and so here's one value that we're given, 600 milligrams by mouth every 12 hours. That is a potential conversion factor. The drug comes as an oral solution of 80 milligrams per milliliter. That's another potential conversion factor. How many milliliters? Okay, that's what we're asking for. So we want to know how many milliliters will the patient be taking in the 600 milligram dose. And so this is directly asking how many milliliters are in 600 milligrams. Do you see how we can kind of break that problem down? And so we're going to start with 600 milligrams. And now we want to bring that to milliliters. So the two conversion factors that were in our problem were 600 milligrams every 12 hours and 80 milligrams per milliliter. And so I hope you can see that the 600 milligrams by mouth every 12 hours is not needed, but that our 80 milligrams per milliliter will convert our milligrams right into milliliters directly. We have milligrams and we're going to milliliters. So even though this is given, we don't even need that in this problem. 80 milligrams per 1 milliliter. That is what we're going to use in our next conversion factor. And so we want to put milligrams on the bottom and we want to put milliliters on the top, right? We want to cancel milligrams and we want to end up with milliliters on the top. So our conversion is that for every 80 milligrams, there's 1 milliliter. And so even though this question had tons of stuff in it, we just have to break it down to what we're given, what we want, and then what we need to get from the one to the other. And so this problem ended up being pretty straightforward. And so the answer, when you punch that into your calculator, is 7.500 milliliters. But if we look at significant figures, this one right here is our limiting one. The 80 milligrams, it's only 1 sig fig. So when we report this in significant figures, it is just 8 milliliters. And that's my final answer. Sorry this part was so spotty. My iPencil actually stopped writing partway through that problem. So here's the final solution shown completely. All right, so you can see this is lots of problems on this, lots of practice. I will have the answer sheet posted, but I'm not going to post that answer sheet until after class. I want you to really struggle with this. I want you to really work with this. And when we come to class, I want you to be able to ask me questions about ones that you just didn't know how to do at all. We're going to spend the entire time going over this and the practice test. Okay, good luck with this.